We're back on the magic of the musicals. It's Alex Barfield talking to the big stars, and a lady who it's always nice to interview is Tracie Bennett. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
It's good to see you. I'm trying to think the times we spoke, because I think this is the third time. I know you were in Hairspray. We spoke then, and was it Les Mis before that?
Yes, it was.
You've done everything. You've had every major role. You've been in every show. You are Mrs. West End, aren't you, really?
I seem to have done everything in the rep, and that's, of course, where you learn your skills, such as mine is, but big or small. And I'm very grateful for that, because I think psychologically the West End might have shredded me had I come in too early and too young.
And you're a particularly unique thing, that you're a personality in the West End. There aren't that many of those, are there?
What do you mean?
Well, you come on and you steal the stage, and you know what you're doing, and you're not like the chorus girls at the back that all look the same and they all sound the same. You've got a great voice, a unique voice, and just a personality. I don't know what that means. I suppose if we were going to be crass, we'd say it was the X Factor, but that sounds a bit cheesy, doesn't it?
Well, it does, yeah. And I honestly don't see myself like that. I'm a chorus girl in my head. I'll always be part of a team. I serve the piece, not myself. I think as you get older, by definition, something goes in osmosis-wise that you have a technique, or you're aware of lights suddenly, which I never used to be. Because you just go on and you do your thing, but you have to link it, I think. You have to link that technique and that experience with how to work a crowd, or basically I'm a big thing on serving the piece at all times. Never myself. I don't have that kind of ego, and I think that's wrong to have it. But if anybody else wants to have it, that's up to them. They can stick it.
And when you're in the West End, is there really any room for you to have an ego? Because there's a lot to get on with. There's 8 shows a week to get out, and there's a whole team to work too. How long would you last if you did think that this was the epitome of show business?
I think, people who do have... we all have an ego, even people who don't have a job, we all have a kind of id thing, and that's what keeps you getting up in the morning, I suppose. But, I'm talking about the type of ego where somebody thinks they're better than somebody else, and that's just not on at all. They think they're better than the writers or the directors or the chorus girls, and actually that does hinder what serving the piece is. And I think there's a responsibility to the audience and to the writers to just serve the piece, get on with it for the pleasure of them. Otherwise, why don't they just stay in their bathroom and do it for themselves? Do you know what I mean? And when I think that superiority thing that sometimes comes across in any walk of life. I used to be a tax officer, and you'd get it in the office, so I'm not slagging off performers. It's a type of human being, I think. I just think that sometimes that's pandered to in our world, because it is commercial money you're talking about, so people have to think that they either should be pampered, otherwise they'll walk, and that I think they stretch their boundary, and it takes a very strong producer to say, oi, knock it off. You're doing it for the audience. And if somebody's coming down from Scotland even, or abroad, to see a show, that's the show they want to see. And then there's the other side of it, when they do want to come and see their favourite celeb. So you know what I mean? It's that kind of fine line between what do they think you are and what image do they think you have. And I've seen people lose it with not knowing who they are and becoming the image that they think they've got for the image that the public think they have. Do you get me?
Yeah, I do, yeah, because it's a vicious circle, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you just, you can see people losing total reality and their groundedness, and I just think it's all about values and how your parents have brought you up, basically. I think we're all the same, and get on with it.
And what I love about you as well is your voice and your accent, and you haven't lost that. You're true to where you come from. In the shows I've seen you in, unfortunately, you're playing characters with accents, so we don't get to hear that. Have you ever been told, work on the voice, we need a bit more of the Queen's English?
Television-wise, yeah, and certain plays, yeah. I remember being picked for something called Joking Apart, and the casting director rang my agent and said, well, we don't know how to say this, but we need Tracie to play a Tracie, because the character was called Tracie. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And I thought she was some chav, but she was actually very posh from Chelsea. And I'm like, sorry. And she went, look, I know you're a character actress, and can you get to grips with the voice? And I do have a voice teacher, and I do my research, and if I'm playing Hungarian, I'll go to the embassy and get spoken to and taped, by a Hungarian, and then I'll get a voice teacher to tell me where the tongue sits and little tricks like that. And if I'm no good, at least I know I've tried my best to be consistent in my no goodness. Do you know what I'm saying? So I do the best of my no goodness I can. Like I'm just doing this French thing with Lacage, and it's kind of French via Bombay and Wales. But as long as it's consistent with that, you know, I really try and hit, like, instead of saying, who are you? You know, you go, who are you? Ooh, they don't say the who. So it's just tiny little things like that. And if you just plop them in every now and again, there's no point really doing your head in over it. But yeah, the RP thing, I have done it. And it's funny, a lot of actors talk about so-called posh RP people playing Northerners. You'll very rarely get it the other way round. And I don't know why that is. Do you know why that is?
No, I don't, and I still think that we're riddled with class in this country, aren't we? And especially
it's
in the theatre.
It's fine, I'm over it, and you can't get angry about it because you'd slash your wrist. But well, you would, wouldn't you? So you just go, oh, okay, that's the way it is, and you just have to be happy with your lot and get on with it, because we could always look at the other side and say, I want that, and that's not fair, and that's not fair. Nothing's fair. So if you can get yourself to grips with what you think is fair, that you want to give out, as it were, as a person, then that's what you should be looking at. Because, you know, even politicians start pulling, instead of talking about their manifesto, they're too busy slagging off the other manifesto, and you're like, no, I want to hear what yours is. You know, so you never hear the truth of anything.
And then you've done a lot of TV work as well. There's obvious differences between theatre and TV. Which do you enjoy the most, or is it nice to dip your toe into both?
I am blessed with that. I really am blessed with that, and I often go, my God, thank you, you know, to somebody. But then again, I have been brave enough to turn things down to wait for that. And when all my mates have been earning thousands of pounds a week, you know, in the West End or whatever, I've said no, hoping that bravery, something like a sitcom, will come up. And you know what, it has, and I thank something for that. In answer to your question specifically, I would always say theatre. A, it's harder. B, it's a big discipline. Well, it's all discipline, but it's just a different discipline, and it is like the army, and I like that discipline. I don't know why. I like that discipline, and sometimes you go off the rails with it because you go, oh, I'll just get drunk tonight, can't be arsed. But that's after the show, do you know what I mean? You just have to have a blowout every now and again. But as I'm getting older, I'm going, oh, God, 8 a week is really roasting. You know, you just want to go out for dinner sometimes, and it's really hard in summer when you're coming in off the bus and everybody's in the wine bar by the river and you're going, oh, I hate all of you. But I've chosen that gig, and it is vocational, and it's my choice, and I have to take responsibility for that, because then I can have a drink by the river afterwards, you know. It is hard, because I have lived a normal life in the office. So telly is easier when you get older, stamina-wise. But again, that's different discipline in terms of you can wait all day, but you seriously have to be on it when it's your turn. You seriously have to keep yourself primed for those 2 minutes, because that level of concentration with like a massive scene that you might be doing, like a crying thing, or you're playing a murder, and you have to really come up with the subtleties of the lead up to that, because it's not in chronological order sometimes. You have to really do your own work where you are mentally and emotionally, and try and do your homework to help the directors so that they can get on with their technical stuff. You can't be going, well, where am I now, and what do you think, and, you know, try and do as much as you can. So that's the hard bit with that, but it's easier, you know, getting in a car and having your hair done, and you just have to learn your lines really and kind of get on with it. But
there's very little glamour in theatre at all, is there?
Well, there's no glamour in an office, you know. I mean, I come into work, and like I say, I used to work in the office, and the girls were immaculate. God love them. And I would always be the scruffy one trying to, oh, can you be bothered curling your hair and putting your eyelashes on, you know, at like 6 a.m. No. And, you know, I'd stick my glasses on and go in, and then I'd think, oh, God, I better raise my ball game here, because they've all got skirts on and lovely blouses. Where'd you find time to iron? You know, get your tracksuit on, but you can't. So that's like a bit of glamour there with yourself in the office, but nothing's glamorous, and I don't know who thinks it is.
I think the perception, if you ask the general public who's living a more glamorous life, the theatre actress or the lady in the office,
no,
I think
they think it is, and I think it's because there are lots of opportunities for like do's, you know, but certain people aren't even invited on those do's. Do you see what I'm saying? It might be the lead that's invited to the do, but there's a load of us that aren't invited to the Grosvenor every now and again. And so once you do get invited and then you don't, I mean, I've seen it on the street, you know, And it's funny that they all want you, and then 2 years later that you don't get the invites, and it just makes me laugh. I mean, I howl, and I go, oh yeah, whatever. The free dresses have stopped coming, and that's totally understandable. But when you first get that, that's what you think the glamour part is. Until somebody ruins the dress and then you have to pay 20 grand back. Suddenly it's all over. So I have seen both sides, and I'm glad I'm grounded with that with my family, because you just have to laugh at it all and go, well, that was great at the time. I'll have it, thanks. I did get a bit of rage going, why are you offering me everything and why didn't you offer me anything before? But of course, that's the nature of the beast. It's a network thing where you help each other. You play the game with the publicity of the show and they give you a free dress and get to the Grosvenor. There's the deal, end. Yep. Meanwhile, crack on with your job.
Yeah, and it's not getting carried away with that. And you've done some amazing TV stuff. What have you enjoyed the most? I mean, things like Corro, or what do you enjoy doing?
Ooh, I've worked hard, and I don't think I'm gifted. There's a lot of gifted people that don't get the gig. But I have worked hard, and I've tried to get better at things. And I think that comes good long term. I hope it does. It seems to have. For certain people I've witnessed, and certainly myself, I still can't believe I get employed because I've nothing to lose coming from where I'm from. I've nothing to lose, and so there's been no fear. I've always been a risk taker, because I go, well, so what if I get it wrong? It'll make me think, well, let's not do that again. And I don't tend to limit myself. I know I'm crap at restoration comedy. I don't know why. I'm crap at pantomime. I just don't get it. I've tried it, and that's why I can say it. And I'm glad I tried it in the rep and had the guts enough to do it, but I don't get it. I don't get the foppery of it, and maybe I was too young to understand the research of it and what the style was, and every director has a different style, and maybe my style didn't suit that or whatever. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. So, you see what I mean? I don't feel that I should be here in the first place, but now I am here. I'm still excited about everything, and I can't say what I like doing best. I think musical theatre is the hardest genre, and people still laugh at it. Even sorry to talk about the X Factor and stuff, but bless Simon Cowell when he says, oh, well, you'll be all right for the West End, and I go, well, they should be so lucky. Do you know how difficult it is to do acting, singing, dancing every day, and deal with the politics of a management, and deal with the public, and deal with your fellow colleagues, and the wardrobe, and the wigs? I mean, are you having a laugh that you think it's not a great medium to be in? It's the hardest of all. And I'm thrilled that, I'm not comfortable being a singer, but I get employed for musicals because I suppose there's a certain level of reality in me or something, and I dance a bit and I play the piano, but I'm not comfortable with the singing, but because they've asked me to do it, I'll really try my best. You know what I'm saying?
It seems to me a lot of the personality and the heart that we started off this interview with has been knocked out of people in these theatre schools, and they're struggling to find the personality actors, and that's where you come into your own.
Yeah, but it's a different decade as well, and they're all... I'm not saying they all want fame and no backup. I'm not saying that at all, because there's really hard-working kids out there. I teach some of them, and I see, and it breaks your heart thinking you are really gifted, but maybe you're too sensitive. You've got to have a bit of a backbone and a bit of a lack of fear to go, you know what, I'm not fabulous, but I'm here, and I'm going to work hard. But, the managements are such now that they would rather take somebody less talented, because it's commercial theatre. And they, I was walking past when Mary Poppins was on, and I was going to Les Mis, I think, at the time, and this 5-year-old boy was saying to his mum, who's the star of Mary? Who's the star of telly on Mary? And you think, well, there you go, you see, everybody wants to see a star, and that's fine, but it might be debasing if that star can't quite do it.
And Mary Poppins is the star. That's why you're going to see it.
Absolutely. So it's not somebody off the telly. I don't care if somebody's off the telly doing whatever they have to do, but you better be good.
Thank you very much for talking to us today. We must end speaking about Le Cage aux Folles, which I enjoyed on Broadway a couple of years ago. It's a very different play. It's intelligent, it's witty, it's deep, it's funny. It's got everything, really, to have a good night out in the theatre.
This is a very intimate version. I saw it at the Palladium. Again, that's massive, loads of chorus boys, and the two-hander scenes, I was right at the back, kind of got lost, really. And because the Playhouse Theatre is quite an intimate theatre, you get the real kind of subtleties of the piece, and it's about a marriage. It doesn't matter if it's a gay marriage, kind of thing. It's about love and warmth and hope, and it's absolutely delightful. And the two lead boys, Dougie Hodge and Dennis Lawson, absolutely immaculate performances, and it's a joy to be a part of it. I mean, I come into a nightclub scene at one point and I get really taken away by watching everything, and I think, oh my God, it's me. And it's that good that you actually think you're in a club. It's a great night out, and I'm not just selling it. I don't care. Don't come sitting and keeping the warmth for all I care. But it honest to God, is worth it for those performances alone. And the Cagelles are absolutely hardworking and funny. They can all act. Their legs are amazing. They all look beautiful. It's a drag act club, and it's about relationships, and it's worth seeing it for that alone.
Congratulations on being you. You're a true star, and it's always lovely to see you, whether it is in Les Mis, on the telly, or in Hairspray, or indeed this, because
whether I'm crap or not.
Don't put yourself up. You've got the work, and that's all that matters.
Yeah,
don't tell them that. They'll get rid of you.
Not bothered.
Tracie, thank you so much for coming on. Tracie Bennett, the big star of Le Cage aux Folles.
Thanks, love.